Now, I will freely admit, I have not been in too many fights in my life, and there's a very simple reason for that. Generally speaking, I'm a lover, not a fighter. And I'm even a runner, especially if there's a jealous lover involved. But laying all that aside for a moment, the few fights I have been in, I have learned this: never hand your opponent a weapon that they can hurt you with. And after having watched Donald Trump's interview tonight on Fox News with Bret Baier, I'm just starting to wonder if he didn't make that mistake. Hang on, folks. I'll show you everything I'm talking about here in just one second. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. Step on up to my electronic front porch and let's talk. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, Donald Trump sat down for an interview with Bret Baier of Fox News. It was recorded previously and it aired tonight. It'll be in two parts. The first part is aired this evening on Monday. Tomorrow, Tuesday, the 20th of June, the second half of the interview will be shown on Special Report with Bret Baier. Overall, I thought Trump did well. Not one of his most spectacular performances in an interview, but I thought he was adequate. However, there's some things in his answers that I think may have opened the door for trouble for himself and his legal team later on down the line as they're defending themselves in Miami against this indictment that the Justice Department's brought down. So we're going to play some clips from this interview. I'll explain why I find a little bit of this troublesome, and then I'll give you my take about overall where I think this thing still stands. So we'll start with the first clip. This is Trump discussing the basis of why he should even have these records at Mar-a-Lago. Take a listen to this.
It's fine. Yeah. So I've got a lot of things in there. I will go through those boxes. I have to go through those boxes. I take out personal things. As far as the levels and all, everything was declassified because I had the right to declassify. You want to talk?
Okay. So right here, I think Trump's just fine. No problem. The reason that, everything's there, it's declassified. I declassified it before I left the White House, which, as I've mentioned in previous videos, under an interpretation of the Presidential Records Act and under a decision by the D.C. Circuit Court back in 2012, basically a judge said, hey, when the president walks out of the White House, whatever documents he takes with him are his personal property. Now, as most people who watch this channel will know, there were negotiations going on between former President Trump, his lawyers, and the National Archives and Records Administration. NARA was requesting that some of those documents come back to Washington, D.C. And everything escalated, leading to the raid in August of 2022, and now where we are with this indictment. But as far as Trump's basis of why he has the documents in his possession, very clearly he says right here, I declassified everything. So, okay, on this clip, I don't think he's in that bad a shape. Now, we'll play the second one, and I'll let you hear it for yourself. The next part that we go into, and I'm not going to play it, is where Trump is discussing Biden and all the documents that he has strewn around all over God's creation. And then it gets back to Trump's documents that he has at Mar-a-Lago. So take a listen to this.
I have every right to have those boxes. This is purely a Presidential Records Act. This is not a criminal thing. In fact, the New York Times of all had a story just the other day that the only way NARA could ever get this stuff, this back, would be please, 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 could we have it back?
Okay. Again, I think he's fine right here. And he does point out something that is absolutely true. NARA can request the documents back. If you believe Trump's interpretation of the Presidential Records Act, as I do, and I think a lot of significant legal scholars do, the documents are his. Now, they can negotiate the handing them back over, that's fine. But, as I said, under the PRA and under Judge Berman's decision in 2012, documents belong to him. Now, it's funny that the New York Times, of all places, is the one that wrote that article. I didn't have it pulled up, and I've still got to take a look at it, which I will. But the fact that they're acknowledging that the only real weapon that NARA has in this is the word please is actually kind of amusing in one sense. But we'll move on. So the next clip gets into a discussion of, you know, NARA trying to get these documents back and the subpoena by the Justice Department. So hang on a second, folks, and we'll play this in just one moment.
No, we
They
were
did ask
talking.
for it.
No, and
They said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the
some,
documents back?"
and we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And in
But
all
why not
fairness,
just hand them over then?
because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've.
Okay, now, I don't think this answer is necessarily bad either, but to me, Trump starts muddying the water. I don't quite understand why he's doing this. Because remember what the decision from Judge Berman in 2012 said. President walks out the White House with documents, they are considered his personal property. Why he's even getting into a discussion of going through these boxes and saying, well, this is personal and this isn't, and this is what's going to go back. Yeah, I guess in one sense you could say, well, maybe I'm splitting hairs about it. But on the other hand, it's all his personal property. Whatever is in those boxes, be they documents or anything else, are his. Again, not my opinion, the opinion of a district judge in Washington, D.C. from back in 2012. So I just don't like the way this answer comes across. Okay, there's one more clip we're going to play, and this will be the last one. Give me 1 second, folks, and we're going to come to it in just 1 second.
But according to the indictment, you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say much more, not that I know of, but not that I know of.
Now, Bret Baier does something, and I understand why he did it, and I can even respect why he did it. I don't necessarily like it, but I respect it. Trump's saying, hey, I got to go through these boxes. There are things in there. There are shirts. There are papers. There's personal effects. And then you notice what Bret Baier did. Iranian war plans. He snuck that in there because at the heart of this indictment, one of the things that Jack Smith of the Justice Department is accusing Trump of is the fact that he was waving around a war plan for attacking Iran and showing it to someone who didn't have authorization to see it, which would be a violation of the Espionage Act. Now, again, I just don't like where Trump's going with this. Why are we making this line of delineation between my personal effects and my presidential papers? Well, if you truly do believe the Presidential Records Act, Mr. Trump, with all due respect, sir, they're already yours. Why are you opening up a line of attack that someone could come after you with? Because you know the boys of the Justice Department were watching this interview, just trying to see if they could get a comment in somewhere down the line that maybe they could get admitted into evidence against the former president. Now, there is one last thing, and I will point it out. I don't have a clip for it, but it's pointed out by Jack Posobiec, Poso to his friends, and on his Twitter page, he has the following. Trump tells Bret Baier that the documents he was waving around on the tape at Bedminster were newspaper and magazine clippings. Jack Smith did not produce any Iran attack plan in his investigation. Okay. Now, here's where I come down on this. I'm not saying that Trump didn't tell the truth. I'm not saying Poso is wrong. I'm not saying the Justice Department has done anything wrong. I'm not saying anything about what they've got. But this, I want to see how this plays out. I want to see exactly what it is that the Justice Department has, and they're using it as the basis of an indictment against Trump. Because if what Trump is saying is correct, that what you hear waving around in that recording is, newspaper clippings where Trump is referencing some kind of, document that, was not declassified while he was president or before he left the White House, that's one thing. Now, if Trump had the actual document that wasn't declassified and he's showing it around, that's a whole other issue. But if all this was newspaper clippings and commentary, magazine clippings, then I'm sorry, the Justice Department has no basis to even bring that indictment. But anyway, let's see how that particular point plays out. Now, as far as reaction to the interview, I will show you what one person had to say about it. Given that this is Fox News, they brought in Britt Hume, who is now their senior political analyst. He used to be the host of Special Report. I'll show you an article from Breitbart. Take a look at this. FNC's Hume. Trump's explanation for why he took documents, quote, verge on the incoherent. Article written by Pam Key. Fox News chief political analyst Britt Hume said Monday on FNC's special report that former President Trump's explanation for why he took government documents to his Mar-a-Lago estate, quote, verge on the incoherent. After the interview aired, Hume said, quote, his answers on the matters of the law seemed to me verge on incoherent. He seemed to be saying that the documents were really his and that he didn't give them back when he was requested to do when they were subpoenaed because, he wasn't ready to because he sorted them and separated the classified information or whatever from his golf shirts or whatever he was saying. It was not altogether clear what he was saying. He added, but he seemed to believe the documents were his, that he had declassified them, evidence to the contrary. And therefore, he, could do whatever he wanted with them, which I don't think is going to hold up in court. Now, a couple of things about Brett Baer's analysis. I will agree with him that some of Trump's statements in this interview I don't think helped him. Because to me, he is needlessly creating a line of demarcation about what these documents are. He's saying, hey, I'm going to go through these boxes. They're my personal effects. I want to see them, and I'll hand over, whatever NARA is asking for. But on the other hand, he's saying, well, I declassified everything. These are mine. Well, no offense, Mr. President, which is it? Look, fair's fair and right's right, and I'll call it like I see it. I don't think Trump did himself a favor on that particular point of the interview. You created an artificial line of demarcation that the Justice Department is going to use against you somewhere down the line, sir. Frankly, if you truly do believe in the Presidential Records Act and your interpretation thereof, and you couple that with the opinion of Judge Berman in the D.C. Circuit, everything in those boxes belong to you. So why you're not sticking with that, I don't know. Did the lawyers coach him before he went into the interview? Did they not coach him before he went into the interview? Or did Trump just be Trump and, I'm going to shoot from the hip? We'll never quite know. Like I said, I don't think Trump's done himself too much damage in this. But on the other hand, I don't like the idea of handing someone a weapon, and I'm just wondering if that's not what Trump has done here. But it all remains to be seen. Anyway, that's my take on it. What's yours? Do me some favors as we end this interview. Number one, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, please do so. Number two, please leave a comment below. Number three, give me a thumbs up on this thing. Number four, share the video around. And number five, help out wherever you can. I'll take everything I can get as far as assistance. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative, and I'll see you next time.